Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video we are going to study clinical trials. How are they conducted on day-to-day activities? So we'll study the background of clinical trials now. So basically clinical research is a medical research which involves people, and these are of two types. So clinical research is of two types: observational studies and clinical trials. What are observational studies? So observational studies is a type of study where the participants are not assigned to a specific intervention, that is whether a drug or a medical device or anything, by the investigator, but the participants may receive interventions as part of their routine medical routine medical care. So basically, in case of observational studies, participants may not receive interventions by the investigator, but they may receive interventions as part of their routine medical care. So there are actually three types of observational study, which is cohort study, case control studies, and cross-sectional studies. So what are clinical trials? Clinical trials are the research studies that are performed in people or subjects to evaluate or determine a medical, surgical, or behavioral intervention. So, what is the primary aim of clinical trial? So, the primary aim of clinical trial is to find out if a new intervention, like a new drug or a medical device, is safe and effective in people. So, the primary aim of clinical trial is to find out whether the drug or the medical device which are administering to the subject is safe and effective or not. So, before the US FDA approves a clinical trial to begin in human subjects, scientists perform lab tests and studies in case of animals to test a potential therapy's safety and efficacy. So before clinical trial begins in case of human beings, scientists, what they do is they will perform lab tests and studies in case of animals so that the therapy's safety and efficacy is evaluated. If these studies shows favorable results, if these lab tests and studies in case of animals shows favorable results, then FDA gives approval for the investigator to carry out investigation in case of humans. So what are the phases of clinical trials? Clinical trials advance through 4 phases to test a treatment and to find out the appropriate dosage and also to look for side effects. So, if after 3 phases researchers find a drug or a other medical intervention to be safe and effective, so basically a researcher will carry out 3 phases. After 3 phases, if the medical intervention or if the drug is found to be safe and effective, then FDA approves it for clinical use and also continues to monitor its effects. That is the phase 4. That is post-marketing surveillance. So let's study what are the exact phases of clinical trials. So basically we have 4 phases of clinical trials, in which the first 3 phases are conducted in a particular area, whereas the phase 4 is conducted when the drug is approved to the market. So that is post-marketing surveillance. So let's study what is phase 1 trial. So phase 1 trial tests on an experimental treatment. It's an experimental treatment on a small group of patients or healthy subjects also. The number of people ranging from 20 to 80 will be there. So these phase 1 trial will help us to determine its safety and side effects and also to find out the correct drug dosage. So this phase 1 trial is carried out in a minimum number of healthy people, that is 20 to 80, So this trial help us to determine the safety and side effects and also to find out the correct drug dosage. What is phase 2 trial? So phase 2 trial uses more people, for example 100 to 300 subjects. While the phase 1 emphasis on safety, this phase 2 will have emphasis on effectiveness of the drug. So in case of phase 2 trial, drug's effectiveness is tested on subjects. So this phase aims to obtain preliminary data on whether the drug works in people who have a certain disease condition or no. So these phase 2 trials also continue to study safety including side effects. So basically their main aim is to find out the effectiveness of the drug, but they can also continue to study the safety because safety is the primary goal. So we have to study the safety of the drug and also we have to study the effectiveness of the drug on human subjects. So what is phase 3 trial now? So phase 3 trial, it gathers more information about safety and effectiveness. Here, in case of phase 3 trial, the human subjects is more than 300. So phase 2 trial, the human subjects were 100 to 300. In case of phase 3 trial, the human subjects will be more than 300. Obviously, we have to gather more information now about safety and effectiveness by studying on different populations and also different dosages using the drug in combination with other drugs. So see here, the number of subjects usually ranges from some hundreds to 3000 people, some 300 to 3000 people. If the FDA agrees that the trial results are positive, if the trial results of the phase 3 trial are positive, if the FDA agrees it, then if the FDA will approve the experimental drug or the investigational drug or a device to release into the market. Thereby, phase 4 trial begins. See, what is phase 4 trial? It is for drugs or devices that takes place after the FDA approves their use. So here, a device or drug's effectiveness and safety are monitored on large and diverse population. Obviously, the drug has come to the market now. The main aim of the investigators is to study the drug's effectiveness and also the safety. Also, in some cases, adverse drug reactions are also monitored in case of large diverse populations. So how do researchers decide who will participate? Who can participate and who cannot participate? So basically, after the subject's consent is done, he or she will be screened by some clinical staff to see if they meet the criteria to participate in the trial or if anything would exclude them. So basically, the clinical staff or the investigator will carry out some tests or screening. So these screening may include cognitive tests, that is the behavioral test, and also physical tests. If the participant or if the subject passes these cognitive tests and also physical tests, then he or she may get participated in the clinical trials. So basically we have two terms, that is inclusion criteria and also exclusion criteria. So in case of inclusion criteria, it means inclusion criteria for a trial might include age of the subject, stage of the disease, sex, whether he is a female or a male, or genetic profile of the subject, and also family history of the subject is mandatory. So these are the inclusion criteria one has to check or the investigator has to carry out or he has to check in case of subjects who are undergoing clinical trials. So the other one is exclusion criteria. So what is exclusion criteria? It includes factors such as specific health conditions or medications that could interfere with the treatment being tested. So this is about exclusion criteria. So researchers has to decide who has to participate and who has not to participate. So based on these inclusion and exclusion criteria, the participants are allowed to participate in the investigation by using or by agreeing the by the agreement, that is consent form. Consent form is filled up by the participant stating he or she is interested in the trial. So based on that, researchers will choose the participants or the subjects to carry out the clinical trial. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.